You guys know that I'm a big advocate of investing in designer fine jewelry over buying things like fashion jewelry or SLG, which you might not think it's a fair comparison comparing, a leather bracelet or a wallet to a solid gold ring, which initially might not sound fair, but if you continue buying wallet after wallet, those things really do add up in price, but not in value. Whereas I do think that if you choose the right jewelry pieces, they can completely transform your entire collection. But I don't actually think that all designer jewelry across the board is worth your hard-earned money. So today I wanted to share with you my top pick from each popular jewelry house like Cartier, Cleef, Bvlgari. And then I also want to discuss some more understated and underrated jewelry brands that I think would be wise for you to explore. So without further ado, if you'd like to hear my thoughts on the best designer fine jewelry pieces and watches to buy in 2023, then make sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet, and keep on watching. Now, there is one thing that I would like to set straight before we get into talking about the actual pieces, because anytime I talk about designer fine jewelry, I get comments saying, why would I go to Cartier or Van Cleef when I can buy something a lot heavier, a lot chunkier, something that features a lot more gold for a fraction of the price from my local jeweler, which it is true if you're looking for something really simple, something, let's say a chain or even an engagement ring. I actually think that going down the route of an independent jeweler can get you not only a much better deal, but you can buy something more substantial and something that will get you a lot more bang for your buck. However, when it comes to buying designer fine jewelry, if you pick the right pieces, you're not only paying for the value of raw materials, the value of gold, but you should also be paying for unique designs, and that's where designer comes from. We're not going to be talking about pieces purely because they are from a well-known brand, but I wanted to share with you pieces that feature unique designs that you won't be able to find anywhere else. And no one's denying that, of course, when it comes to buying anything designer, you're also paying for the packaging, you're paying for the service, you're paying for that overall luxury experience, which if that's something that you are longing for, there's nothing wrong with that. Obviously, if you're purely after value for money, or if you're looking for a design that's really quite simple and widely done, there's no point for you to turn to a designer house unless you want the beautiful packaging and you want the luxury experience. But if you're looking for something quite simple, something like an engagement ring, a simple chain, a wedding band, going with an independent jeweler might save you thousands and thousands of dollars, or you can spend the same amount of money with them and get something a lot more substantial. But the pieces that I picked for today's video are all unique, and I know you won't be able to find them anywhere else, or even if you do, they won't be on the same level in terms of craftsmanship. So without further ado, let's dive straight in. And I want to start with Hermes. Even though Hermes is not a jewelry house, their jewelry line is incredibly underrated, and I do think that they deserve a lot more attention. Now, the reason I wanted to start with Hermes is because I actually did do a dedicated deep dive on Hermes fine jewelry quite recently, sharing everything you need to know about buying fine jewelry from Hermes, because as you probably guessed, it's not nearly as straightforward as it is with any other brand. I mean, it would be surprising if something was easy with Hermes. So if you would like to jumpstart your jewelry collection, and if you have been toying with the idea of picking up something from the Hermes jewelry line, I would suggest starting with that video, because I also shared some of my most loved and most worn everyday pieces. But there are a couple of other pieces that I wanted you to be aware of in case you're looking for something a little bit more playful, including the Kelly clochette ring, which is a really fun, really playful piece. It's something that would look incredible stacked with your already existing collection, but it would also look incredible on its own. This is a piece that is part of a much larger collection, but I actually really love the rings. I think they are quite reasonably priced for what you get and for what these will add to your collection. And obviously they are inspired by the iconic Kelly bag, but instead of featuring something as predictable as the Kelly twist closure, they actually borrow inspiration from the key and the clochette that you get with most of your Hermes bags. These rings come not only in plain solid gold, but you can also buy them with pavé diamonds on the band. So you do have a few different options. You can also choose from different shades of gold. So that would be a really fun piece to add to your collection if you're looking for something that is really special, really unique, but not nearly as often seen and often discussed as something like the Kelly rings, the original Kelly rings. Or another piece that I do really like from Hermes is the Punk anchor ring, which is one that has been around for years at this point. They have done it in several different versions. They've done it with pavé diamonds encrusted with black spinels, and then most recently they have reintroduced it in just plain solid gold, which you might not think that this is the most quintessentially Hermes piece, but if you know Hermes, you know that they do have this really cool edgy rock and roll side to them. So this, I think, would be an amazing piece to start with, especially if you're looking for something that will add quite a bit of bang for your buck to your collection. Let's move on to a brand that is extremely well known, yet I only ever hear people talking about a single collection of theirs, and to be honest, I only ever see people wearing a couple of pieces from that one collection, which is the B0 collection, and the brand that we're going to be discussing is Bvlgari. Now, there is nothing inherently wrong with the B0 collection. I just don't think that it is the most sophisticated, most refined design, and this is coming from someone who did wear the B0 ring for a couple of years. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a nice, just matte design that won't do really anything for you. It won't add or take away from any outfit, but if you're paying this much money for designer fine jewelry, you should have higher expectations. So the piece that I would love for you to explore is the serpentine rings or bracelets, depending on your budget and what you prefer. Now, I have to be honest, Bvlgari and this range in particular is not going to be for you if you like something understated, something delicate, something really subtle. This is for you if you want a head-turning, show-stopping piece, which, if that's your aesthetic, there are very few brands that do it as well as Bvlgari does, because these pieces are incredibly refined. The craftsmanship is beautiful. The way these pieces are crafted and the way they move, there is nothing quite like these. So if this is your aesthetic, the Serpentine collection is a great one to explore. They offer rings, bracelets, pendants, necklaces. I would personally either start with a bangle or a ring, and you can not only pick these up in full-on pavé, but you can also buy them with either a few little diamonds or completely bare if you're looking for something that is a little bit more budget friendly, although I don't think that budget friendly is a term that we can really use in today's video, but obviously the plain pieces are going to be at a lower price point compared to the full-on pavé pieces. So you have a lot to choose from, not only in terms of design, but they do have rings that go around your fingers once, they have ones that wrap around your fingers twice or even a few times. So it is an incredibly expensive collection, and I would love to give the Bvlgari Serpentine bags an honorable mention because I do think that those are some of the most beautifully crafted luxury bags out there. So if this is your aesthetic, Bvlgari and the Bvlgari Serpentine range is one for you to explore. And if you love animal-inspired pieces, if you like head-turning, show-stopping creations, moving on to Cartier, the Panther collection is one that, again, you have to check out. I did do a video sharing some of my favorite pieces from Cartier recently because I'm not the biggest fan of their more mainstream popular creations like the Love range or the Just Inclure range. So I do have a video discussing some of the best alternatives to buy from Cartier, which includes the Panther collection, which, I mean, if you would like to buy something quintessentially Cartier, something that will add a lot more bang for your buck to your collection than any love piece would, the Panther collection is a great one to explore. They do have rings, bracelets, earrings, and pendants. Personally, I do think that if you're looking to make a big statement with your jewelry, without going overboard, the Panther bracelets are the best way to go, and they do have quite a few different designs for you to choose from, but my favorites are the ones that feature the panther that go across your wrist. So they do have ones that feature just the panther head or two panther heads on each side, but my favorites are the ones that have the actual panther head fully constructed in dimension. Those, I think, are just some of the most beautifully crafted pieces. And if you're looking for something a lot more simple and understated from Cartier, the Trinity bracelets and rings are ones that you cannot go wrong with. I feel like if I was to buy another piece from Cartier, which I don't see happening anytime soon, but if I was, I would probably buy the small Trinity ring with one of the bands being in pave diamonds, which I would most likely wear as a pinky ring. So if you're looking for something really understated, but again, quintessentially Cartier, the Trinity collection is a great one for you to explore. What would I suggest that you buy from Tiffany at this point? Nothing. Is that an option? No, I'm just kidding. But I really don't think that there are too many pieces from Tiffany that I would feel comfortable recommending that you spend your money on. I do appreciate all their effort that they are putting into rebranding and reviving the brand. I appreciate some of their new launches, like the Knock collection that I tried but wasn't the biggest fan of. They have recently launched the Lock collection, which I have to be honest, I have not played around with, but I don't really feel the appeal to do so. Have you guys played around with those pieces? Have you had a chance to try them on? If you have, let us know your feedback in the comment section down below. But based on what I've seen, it just kind of looks like a cheap replica of the Love bracelet. Not a replica, but a cheap response to the Love bracelet, and the success of the Love bracelet is just not my favorite piece, if I want to be honest. The only thing that I could see myself recommending from Tiffany is a piece that I would not buy for myself, but something that I love admiring from afar is the Elsa Peretti bone bracelets, which they have been doing for a really long time. I happen to prefer the narrower version, which I think look like the most refined, chicest, most incredibly elegant bracelets to wear over a piece of knit or under a shirt. They do these bangles in either solid silver or solid gold. I love both the silver and the gold, and I have to be honest, I think there's about a $20,000 difference between the silver and the gold version. And when it comes to these pieces, I would actually suggest buying them as a pair. They do sell them individually, and there's nothing wrong with buying only one. But if you're going to go for the narrow version, I would suggest buying a pair and having one on each wrist if you're going to wear them under a shirt or over a piece of knitwear. I think it just looks like the most refined, most elegant accessory. And they have also recently introduced these in copper with like a colored finish. I do really like the black version, and I think the other color that they offer this in is like a pearlized finish, which I think is quite an odd color to go for in such a narrow bracelet. I think it would end up looking like a sweatband on most people, or it could potentially make you look like someone who sprained their wrist that had to be wrapped up. I just don't think that it is the most flattering shade in this particular design. But when it comes to the original silver and gold colorways, this is a piece that goes way beyond of what most jewelry pieces will do for you. In 2023, we cannot do a video on designer fine jewelry without mentioning Van Cleef. Now, Van Cleef, similar to Cartier, is a brand that I do have a dedicated deep dive on. So if you'd like to hear my thoughts on Van Cleef, if you'd like to learn about the heritage of this brand, I will make sure to have my Van Cleef deep dive linked in the info box. It is a really interesting brand with a lot to offer, a lot more than just the Alhambra line, which is the collection that this brand is so well known for. Now, don't get me wrong, I do love the Alhambra collection. I think it is an acquired taste, but contrary to popular belief, I don't think that it is a universally flattering collection. I think this is quite a delicate, stuffy, old school look for that kind of aesthetic that people who launch would have. I don't think that this collection will look great with anything and everything. But if you do find the Alhambra collection really appealing, if it's something that you have always been intrigued by, I would suggest starting with the Sweet Alhambra collection, which is their thinnest version in this collection, because you can actually buy the Alhambra collection in different sizes and different width. The Sweet Alhambra is the thinnest, most delicate version, which means that it is quite adaptable. It's a piece that and a design that you can play around with depending on what you style it with. So the Sweet Alhambra line would be a great one to start with, similar to the original collection. You can pick it up in different shades of gold with different stones, and obviously it is the stone setting that makes Van Cleef stand out from the crowd and that differentiates them from any other brand. Or, little known fact, but Van Cleef also has an entire zodiac line, which I really like, especially when it comes to the chain, because do you remember at the beginning we talked about buying more simple pieces like chains from local jewelers? Well, if you're looking for a really beautiful, really elegant and intricate chain, I would suggest looking at the Van Cleef Trace chain. That is a tongue twister. Looking at the Van Cleef Trace chain, if you look at that piece, I think you will see what I'm talking about. Each individual link has the most beautiful sheen to it, and I haven't really seen a chain quite like it before because it's not encrusted with any sort of diamonds or stones. It just has the most beautiful sheen to it, so that would be a great piece to look into. And if you do like a medallion or a larger pendant, their zodiac pendants are really quite special. And speaking of larger medallions with quite a bit of spiritual meaning to them, let's talk about Foundrae, which is one of my most favorite brands. Foundrae is a New York-based jewelry brand who does the most beautiful, meaningful creations. Again, this is a brand with a huge range of different pieces, but I think when it comes to Foundrae, their pendants and medallions are the way to go. Now, the way it works with Foundrae is that you can choose any one of their chains, which they do have a huge range of different chains, from thinner all the way to the thickest, chunkiest chains, and you can add different medallions and pendants onto the chains depending on what you're looking for. And what makes this brand incredibly special is that each and every single piece has a spiritual meaning to it. There is a story, so you can basically mark an important chapter of your life with each piece that you pick up from this brand. My two favorite collections from Foundrae are their Karma collection and their Protection charms, which come in different sizes, in different finishes, so there's really a lot for you to choose from. And if you're looking for a piece of jewelry that has a lot of spiritual meaning to it, that you can really highly customize without compromising on the quality, because the way these are crafted is truly luxurious, Foundrae is a brand that I would highly suggest exploring. As I mentioned, their medallions and their chains are some of my favorite, but of course they also do rings and bracelets. And another favorite of mine, which I haven't bought but is something that I cannot get out of my head, which is a recent launch from them, and it's their key fobs, which are basically these solid gold keychains that are encrusted with diamonds, which I don't know if I could justify spending, I think, over $5,000 on a keychain, but they're definitely some of the chicest, coolest charms that I have ever seen. I have to be honest, I'm not the biggest watch person, and I'm not sure if it's because I don't love having things on my wrist or if it's because I'm dyslexic and I didn't learn how to read the time until I was like 15 or 16, and I do know how to do it now, but it still takes me like a solid minute to figure it out. So I don't love watches, but there are some watches that I do really enjoy. I did talk about my everyday jewelry collection. I think I did a video on that last year, which also included the Rolex Submariner. So I wanted to give you some recommendations for watches. If you're looking to invest in a watch in 2023, I did want to share some of my favorite pieces, which obviously watches have been a huge thing in the past few years. They're getting harder and harder to get. So when it comes to brands like Rolex, if you thought it was tough getting a Birkin, try to get a popular Rolex at this point. But if you can get your hands on one, I do love the Rolex Submariner. When it comes to Rolex, I think they are beautiful watches, but personally I see them more as kind of sporty, everyday casual watches. So my favorite from the brand is the Submariner, which I would either pick up in stainless steel or in two-tone. So in half gold, half stainless steel, if you would like to see how Rolex wears and hear my deep dive review on that particular watch, I will make sure to have my video listed in the info box for you. But if you feel like that Rolex at this point is just too loud and shouty for you, especially considering I read this in an article recently that watch theft is up by 60%, and if you feel like, you know, that's just not really my cup of tea, it's just too much for me, I would suggest looking at a piece from Patek, which, speaking of a brand that is hard to get, Patek is 10 times more difficult to get watches from than Rolex, but there is an original design that I think you should still be able to get your hands on, and it shouldn't be too tough, which is their Ellipse creation. It is one of the most elegant, most refined, most beautiful watches that I have ever seen, which doesn't talk, it whispers, and it whispers so beautifully. If you're looking for one of those watches that will make you look like $1,000,000,000 without trying hard or trying at all, this is an incredible piece to invest in, because this is genuinely a true investment that you will have in your collection for generations to come. And my friends, these are the best designer fine jewelry pieces to invest in 2023. I really hope you enjoyed this video and you got some inspiration. If you enjoyed it and you'd like to see more videos like this from me, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't done so yet. And please let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Do you agree with my review? Do you disagree? Are there any other pieces that you think belong on this list? Please don't hold back and share your thoughts in the comment section down below. And also let me know if you'd like me to do more videos not only on jewelry but also watches. I'd be happy to do a similar video on the best watches from each popular watchmaker out there. Let me know if that's something that you would like to see from me. But I really appreciate you being here and watching, and I hope to see you back here with a new video really soon.